Today I want to talk about 3 big mistakes interviewers make doing behavioral interviews and creating behavioral interview questions. Ever wonder what questions you should ask in an interview? Ever make a hiring mistake? I have. Boy, have I. Hi, I'm Stephen Moulton, author of The CEO's Advantage: 7 Keys for Hiring Extraordinary Leaders, and my newest book, Hiring Employees: Big Company Secrets for Small Business Leaders. Early in my career, I had to hire over 1,000 people in 6 months to build airliners. I could assess the technical capabilities well, but had no clue about how to hire great employees. I hired way too many problem employees. Quite literally, I had to fire all the problem employees I hired, and that was really no fun. This led me on a quest to be able to make great hiring decisions. To set the stage for 3 hiring mistakes, behavioral interviewing is all about asking questions about past experiences in order to see how the candidate has handled situations in the past. Once you know how a candidate has handled situations in the past, you're supposed to be able to predict that they may handle similar situations in the future the same way. Research has shown that behavioral interviewing is very effective if done right. The problem is, far too many interviewers have a superficial understanding of how to do it. Maybe they watched a 30-minute video or read a book. Here are 3 mistakes interviewers typically make. Number 1, zero validity of the questions. There are 2 important aspects to this mistake. First, a very simple definition of validity is that the interview questions will measure what they're intended to measure. If you don't know what they're intended to measure, they're a waste of time. Another mistake most interviewers make is using questions that don't relate to the job. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Second, one size doesn't fit all. And here's what I mean. The question asked needs to be assess the specific competencies necessary for success in a specific job. The competencies for success in an administrative job are going to be significantly different from a truck driver. The competencies for a chief financial officer are going to be very different from a chief marketing officer. The behavioral interview questions to measure those competencies are also going to be very different. And here's the rub. The traditional approach to determining the key competencies for a specific position are costly and take a lot of time. So most companies don't spend the time. Hence, there's a need for a simplified system that not only tells you what competencies are important for success, but also provides you with the interview questions that will measure them in less than an hour. Let me share a story. A few years back, I was working with a client, and there were 3 groups of supervisors, and I'd asked them to look at it through a list of behavioral competency definitions and select and prioritize their top 6 competencies for a specific position and make a list. I gathered those lists, then I gave them a competency analyzer like one I have and had them complete it as a team against select their top 6 competencies. When each group was done, I put the first list next to the second list, and they weren't even close. I asked them why. Each of the answers was basically the same. They said, we looked at the first list based upon the flavor of the day, and the second list, we actually looked at specific actual behaviors. Made a difference. Number 2, zero question effectiveness. The second mistake most interviewers make is using questions that aren't written properly, let alone related to the job requirements. They aren't specific, and they are way too easy for candidates to prepare for. Here's one of the mistakes interviewers make in using behavioral interview questions. It's a question that's often a leading question. In other words, the questions broadcast to the candidate what the interviewer is looking for. And you really don't want that to happen. But here's an example of a typical behavioral question. Tell me about a time when you had to balance priorities and did so successfully. Here's a better way of doing that question. Tell me about a specific time when you were challenged balancing priorities. Did you hear the difference? The first one was a leading question and did so effectively, and the second one was asked when they were challenged balancing priorities. Third, failure to keep candidates honest, and this is huge. Here's the problem. Who's typically better prepared for an interview? The candidate or the interviewer? Typically the candidate. Interviewers are, particularly hiring managers, are crazy busy and don't prepare until the candidate is in the lobby. Then it's too late. A while back, I read a study that found out that a lot of candidates love behavioral interview questions because interviewers could not tell if they were sharing one of their examples, an example of someone else they knew, or if they totally made up the whole example on the spot. Many candidates, particularly professional and managerial candidates, have access to outplacement, and they're coached there on how to interview and respond to questions, particularly behavioral questions. Other candidates have job hunting coaches, read books on how to respond to questions, get online coaching, and there's 6 million videos on YouTube on how to respond to those kinds of questions. Plus, many interviewers interview from a resume and don't know that as much as 86% of resumes are inaccurate. So interviewers have no way of knowing if they're getting the straight stuff or BS. I know this is going to disappoint you, but I can't tell you how to keep a candidate honest in this video because way too many candidates will stumble on the secret, and I don't want to share it. I hope this information was useful and wish you much success in using behavioral interview questions. You can do it. You can do it yourself. Or you can save yourself time, money, and frustration by letting me help you and your hiring manager succeed. Go to www.hire-stars.com or call us at 303-439-2001 and we can schedule a call for a strategy session.